People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right, we are back, and this week we have a legend in magic. I say he's a legend. My old girlfriend said he's a legend. Everybody that I know said this guy is a legend. Everybody, it's Frank DeVille. What's up, buddy?
Not much. That's a very kind intro.
Well, you know
like,
what? You used to have the motto, your girlfriend's favorite magician. Is that still a thing?
No, I gave that up. That was sort of the show. And then I decided it was just too old. That was for the college show. And I just thought that once you hit a certain age, it's a little creepy. And then at a certain age, it starts to be funny again. So I retired that fairly early to be on the safe side. I didn't want to be the guy who was playing that angle for way past the fun.
I don't know.
Fun period, I guess.
Look at these legends in Vegas. You know, they're still pretending they're single and they've been married with 4 kids, but they still, at some point, you stick with it. It could work. Dude.
I was performing at colleges, though, so it sort of felt weird at colleges to try to do the whole flirty, Pepe Le Pew kind of silliness. You know, that stealing, and the stealing the kiss. I was going to say, you know, that whole gag about turning your head from the kiss to the cheek to the mouth. I was going to say that it was too old to do that, but to be honest, I think people got way too uptight to do that. And, and it would never be the person I did it to. It would always, it's just the fear of somebody in the audience finding it offensive.
Some guy on a cruise ship got beat up for it. You know that.
Really?
You didn't see that?
That's crazy.
I think
by the person.
I think it was like 2019. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
He got beat up by who?
The boyfriend came out of the audience and just started beating him up.
Oh, that's crazy. But I have some work on the bit.
Okay, there he needs.
I would always go for it, but I would always kiss behind her face, right? So I go here and I go behind like that, so we never actually touch. But from the audience, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So I guess maybe they would just like do some stage combat to beat me up if I did that.
All right, Frank.
Although who am I taking on this Leviathan?
This. So
what's the word?
I gotta say, you're one of my favorite magicians, dude. I'm telling you, the bits.
I'm one of my magicians too.
But listen. So the bits that you have stayed with my mind. How long has it been since you've been at MAES? 2020? 2016?
Well, before 2020, that was COVID. So it was probably 2018 or 2017, 2016, something like that. Yeah.
So, I mean, your opening line, my name is Frank, like the hot dog, DeVille, like I hate puppies. I mean, dude, I'll never forget it. Do you still use that?
When I have an opportunity. I don't do a lot of formal shows anymore. I do a lot more street performance. So the street performance, I don't quite interact in that style, right. You know? So, because to be honest, I don't know who I am. I'm just hoping they'll stop to watch my stupid trick. You know, when you have if I'm working at the castle or if I'm working somewhere where they're already there to see a magic show, then I think I have more leeway to take my time and introduce myself. So your classic bits that I love so much is your 6 bill repeat. I just remember everybody in the back of the room just laughing their butt off at his 6 bill repeat. Do you know any of it that you can tell the listeners and tell Natalie kind of without doing the whole trick and doing the whole thing? Oh, what's funny, I actually just did it last week for the first time in a while. I got it over here. But basically, and now I realize that I was just thinking about that trick this morning. because the regular patter is just, I don't know. This might be a good thing to talk about because I have a lot of thoughts about that trick.
Okay.
Thinking about it this morning. So I saw Michael Finney, of course, do his 6-card repeat, and you see who else did it and had a huge hit with it. Oh, shoot. Well, Michael Finney's at least good enough for him, and it's such a simple trick, and I like the room for the story. So I was doing that trick to crickets for probably 2 years. You know, I had it in my show. I was doing it at the colleges. I was doing it everywhere I went. And I just had the filler patter of, you know, I went to the magic store to see if they had the trick with 6 cards and blah, 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 blah. And I was playing with methods, with pockets and the car and everything. And at a certain point, it just clicked. And it also goes back to your girlfriend's favorite magician. Because I was doing the college market and working on my material, but I didn't really have an angle. And then at one point, I just thought, I know, it's going to be your girlfriend's favorite magician. My whole motivation for performing is to impress girls. And I was thinking it would just be a cross between Pepe Le Pew and Bugs Bunny. So half smartass and tongue-in-cheek, but also half completely ridiculous and unaware, you know? So once I made that decision, then I'm looking at the 5-card repeat and 6-card, and 6 just seemed like the wrong number. I like the rhythm of 5 better. And then I'm like, wait a second. Money makes a whole lot more sense than cards, because having an unlimited supply of playing cards doesn't have any emotional hook, right? But having an unlimited supply of dollars, well, now you're talking about, if you had real magic powers, that might be something you'd do. And then, why would a guy who wanted to impress girls with magic be doing a thing with bills? And it dawned on me that he's buying drinks at a bar for girls. And it's like he bought her a drink, he bought her a drink, he bought her a drink, and he still had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drinks.
Dollar beer night.
$1 beer night. This morning I was just thinking that $1 beer night is just not believable. So I was thinking $5 drink night.
Yeah.
And then you go down to 4, right? Because then you're going, I had 5, 10, 15, $20. I bought her a drink. I bought her a drink. I still had 5, 10, 15, $20. So now it looks like it's going to go down to a 4-bill repeat. I think it still works. But so then once I had that kind of hook of buying drinks, the patter's pretty, formulaic. I went in, I bought myself a beer. I still had 1, 2, 3, 4, $5. Saw a beautiful brunette. So I bought her a drink. I bought another drink. I still had 1, 2, 3, 4, $5. And so then I buy the blonde a drink and the redhead. And then the bartender flirts me. So hell, I bought him a drink. But the other interesting thing about that trick is, so the magic felt strong and the patter was solid. It was funny. It was missing an ending. It didn't have a good punch. Like, I needed that big laugh. And I'd been playing with, I woke up the next morning wearing nothing except for, and I would always play with what I was wearing the next day. And it would be like a tutu and a clown nose, bowling shoes and a derby hat, right? Like, nothing really had a punch. And then I just thought of suspenders and an eye patch, which was kind of funny. But I was actually at MAES that morning, like, just trying to come up, because I was like talking to other magicians and comedy guys and trying to get that punch. And I realized if I stand up here, we'll see, I'll probably come out. But I would say I woke up the next morning wearing nothing but suspenders and an eye patch. And adding, so that was the punch I needed, because it just paints this picture. And what I learned from that trick is, I think it's one of the best things I do, but it was also, I had to do it horribly for years, like to awkward crickets, just knowing that at some point I'd figure it out. But I wouldn't figure it out if I stopped doing it, you know? So I had to just keep doing it. It wasn't, you know, you just put it in the middle and rush through it knowing that you do something good before and after and hope they forget about it.
Dude, I like the work you put into it. I love the thinking behind it and the work you put into it. It's a I'll never forget it, dude. I remember Vincent Mendoza was beside me. Mike Miller was back here. The people at the back table, because I'm taking pictures and stuff, and they were all just belly laughing, dude. It was so great, so great. So,
Man, I miss the East Coast guys. Vincent is a monster.
dude, I love Vince. Vince is great.
He's so sweet.
Yeah.
So you don't do your favorite girlfriend thing anymore. How would you classify your new look? I love your new look. You know, like Michael Jackson had phases, Madonna had phases. You totally had one of those changes that totally works. It totally just synced in. But, I mean, do you even have pink anymore anywhere? Every once in a while it's high? No pink at all.
No pink at all. That's right. So for your girlfriend's favorite magician. And so I started doing street performance when I was 16. And very quickly I decided I didn't want to just be a guy standing on the street doing tricks. I wanted it to look like a show. So one of the ways I pulled it together was just aesthetically, just colors. Just making everything pink and black. Pink shirt, black vest, black shoes, pink and black checkered Vans. Props were pink and black. As much as possible, pink and black. Just to make it, to unify everything, to bring everything together. And so that carried over pretty well into the girlfriend's favorite magician thing. And it also, because it's kind of cute, but also kind of fit the kind of punk rock aesthetic I was attracted to. But at a certain point, I realized that I wasn't sure how long I could pull off cute in a youthful way. So I said at some point conceptually I have to grow up. Not in life, but while I'm performing. You know, I got to accept that I'm not 20 anymore and can't try to sell myself as 20. And so I decided to go for kind of a Rat Packy kind of feel.
Okay, that makes sense.
You know,
I get the look now.
a 60s month, you know, so looking at like Dean Martin or Sammy Davis Jr. And then I really committed to that on the street because I also didn't want to look poor. I've never wanted to look poor. I feel like having some kind of hook aesthetic kind of gives you a place to go with other areas of the show, you know, having something to grab people. So, you know, I committed to like this 60s mod look, thinking that I wanted to be as much as a street performer can be, but I wanted to be the luxury version of a street performer, you know? And even down to when I perform, I play like Oscar Peterson trio stuff in the background. It's like piano jazz where there's no horns or a guitar, but it's like piano, drum, and bass, no lyrics. Because it kind of sets the mood, kind of the pace. It's relaxing, it's kind of chill. And horns and guitars and vocals would interrupt my speech. You know, it's kind of like in the same, I don't know, decibel or whatever you call it, but it has a similar sound. It's sort of why you don't have people playing harmonica while the vocalist is singing, because the sound is too close and it conflicts, I guess might be the best word. So, but I keep that music in the background. I also found on the street, it kind of fills in all the dead spots and sets a whole mood. But even that started with trying to do a Rat Pack thing. So I think having the image helps you figure out what tricks you want to do and how you want to do them.
See, you said you've never performed in Vegas, but that act would go so great on Fremont Street. And then having your music tie it in, nobody's doing that on Fremont Street. It's too much chaos, too much stuff going on, but it all makes sense, dude. I love your thinking.
Yeah, I thought it would work then.
Go ahead.
Because it might be too loud and chaotic. Like my best days out here are when I have quiet, you know?
Okay.
When there's a lot of noise. One, if it's like trying, you know, as a street performer, you're competing with distractions. But But when I don't have the distractions and when people can just kind of relax and, almost fall into a trance, I think the shows go better and I make more. But when I got to listen to 3 songs at the same time, it's bad for me and it's bad for my audience. It's just not a comfortable place to sit and watch somebody go. Because I also like to go slow. I don't like to go fast, and I don't like big flashy things. I don't do a lot of high energy performance. I'm very, I don't want to say low energy, but relaxed and slow. There's not a lot of exaggerated poses or shouting or frantic movements. I try to do my magic as slow as possible. So the music helps, but if there's a whole lot of noise and stuff, it just doesn't set the right tone for the audience to sit there and be comfortable watching somebody go slow.
Well,
if that makes sense.
That's more amazing to the audience because the first thing a layman's going to say is, boy, he has fast hands. When you're moving slow, methodically and blowing them away, they have no recourse. They don't know which way to go.
Well, and it's so funny because my basic set right now on the street is Cups and Balls, Professor's Nightmare, and Multiple Selection. And Cups and Balls is my opener because I can do it when there's nobody watching. So they can walk up and jump right in at any point. I don't do a final load because I don't want to have to follow the final load with something better. So I kind of make the trick worse so that I still can get that build. And then from a practical standpoint, now my Cups and Balls, I pick up the cups, I go into them and put them back down, and they're set and ready to go. There's no pocket loads. There's nothing anywhere. It's just pick them up, do the trick, put them down, they're ready to go. So there's some practical elements of not doing the final loads. And artistic. And I think the artistic choice came first. But then Professor's Nightmare, because you can do that so slow, and it fools the shit out of people. Sorry, I don't know about cursing. I'll try to watch.
P13. That's what I say.
Yeah.
So back to music real quick. We pick music that we like. We'll listen to hundreds of songs, but we'll find something we like. We go to royalty free, and we find something that fits that trick or that illusion or whatever.
Yeah.
But Rocco, I don't know, Rocco Solano had a thing in his lecture notes that he would only do 70 to 90 beats per minute because that's where your heart rate was. So he wanted it to be. So he's really thinking, and I was like, that's going deep. Mm-hmm. I never look at the beat count. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Now, I don't care about royalties because the street performer.
Right. But see, I want to put stuff on YouTube. I have the television show. I don't want to have to do edit. I don't want to have to edit and add music.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, especially if you're posting it and trying to monetize it. Because I don't even think you're going to have a trouble. Like, now if you're posting it online and trying to monetize it or on TV, the royalties are an issue. But I even imagine for private gigs, or small, nobody's going to care if you're down at the local, if you're doing a show at the Moose Lodge or something. Nobody's checking royalties there, I don't imagine.
I just never wanted the conversation to come up. I never wanted to be and nobody really knew the answer, and I didn't like that answer. That's not what I wanted.
Yeah. Well, I know, like, if you're posting stuff on YouTube, like, that's a huge issue.
Right.
And now that that's a new place to monetize it, that matters. But me also, I don't have a set soundtrack. It's the routines aren't set to music. I just have about a 3-hour playlist I've assembled that I just let play in the background the whole time on random.
It's just It's just jazz. It's background,
Yeah. I often thought about trying to set up. A more formal kind of musical set. Like I used to when I did the college show, I had a very strict musical set list with cues and stops and everything, and thought about doing that to the street show. But for the sake of my neighbors, I just figured it's bad enough to have to hear me run the same pattern over and over again. At least the music changes a little bit.
So right before we got on the air today, I showed my wife that 5-minute documentary about you. And man, I love your match.
Oh,
The one,
the skateboarding one?
no, the one that's on YouTube. I didn't know you had a skateboarding one.
Oh yeah, there are two about me on YouTube actually,
All right,
which
well,
is funny.
I'll find the other one, but the one I just found, I don't want the sound to come on. Hold on, let's see. Frank DeVille. It was oh come on, it was just called Frank Short Documentary Film. JC Film.
Oh yeah,
5 minutes. You
yeah,
perform it, dude. Seeing you do cups and balls to no audience, it hurts my heart. I know that's how you have to do it, but it hurt
yeah.
to watch that. How many thousands of times did you have to do that to feel comfortable?
Oh, well,
Nothing.
one, since nobody's there, I don't care. It was never a problem. My thought was, musicians sit there playing music to nobody, and eventually somebody stops to listen. So I was trying to do that, to have a magic trick that I could just do, and then when somebody walking by wanted to watch, they could just, boom, go right there. And the nice thing about cups and balls for me is I can do I can stop at the short version if I've got enough people to move on to the next trick, because it's all about my whole purpose of cups and balls is to get to 3 people so I can do Professor's Nightmare. So if I finish the first phase of cups and balls and I have 3 people watching, we're ready to go. And if I only have 1 or 2 people watching, then I can do the longer version. And if I have no people watching, I can cycle it. So I have 3 ways I can go with it. So, not having everybody watch, it's fine. Although I will say the biggest challenge for me has been stopping people. Once I get that first person, it becomes pretty easy. But getting that first person can be the biggest challenge that I found as a street performer. I haven't found the gimmick that works every time. I've heard other people talk about things, and nothing's ever worked for me in the way that I can say, all right, let's start. But this gives me something to do between. I've probably gotten really good at it because I do it so much,
So I'm busy. So I'm fanning cards. I'm spreading cards, doing a little fan, whatever, on the table, ribbon spread on the table. I'll pop cards out, catch it in this hand, put it back in, shuffle, like I'm not paying attention. When I'm working like a street festival or something, because you got to keep moving. Cause I'm selling. In between shows, I have a little table. I'm selling magic. So I'm selling tally decks and coloring books and pitch magic in between shows. So that's what I do to keep busy. You can't sit down. You can't walk away from the table. You have to be there. Any second, they're going to be there. So I think that's similar. But, yeah.
And it depends. Like, I've done street festivals, and it's like I did Taste of LA or something in downtown LA. And as soon as I put my table down, I was swarmed. In that kind of environment, it's like instant. You don't have to do anything. But on the pier, it's harder to stop people in some environments. And an odd thing I've started to notice on the pier is I'll go through it, and then if I don't have anybody, sometimes I'll sit down on my amp and just wait for the song to end. And then when the new song starts, I'll reset, going, all right, here we go. We're just about to start the show, beginning in a few short seconds with the oldest trick in the book. Because sometimes as people are walking up as the show's starting, that seems to be, because there's a psychological aspect of, if people see people in front of them walking past you and ignoring you, then they don't even pay attention to you. They ignore you too. I worked in New York City over at Times Square, and I could not stop a single person. It was crazy. It's just so hectic and so busy. Nobody wants to stop. And I had some buddies with me, and I would have them try to play the stick man and pretend they're watching and see if that's no luck. And I've never had that work for me. So there's some kind of weird thing that people detect that they're just watching. So what I tried was I told them, go to the end of the block. And when a next mob comes across the street, step in front of them. And as you approach me, slow down and stop in front of me. Crowds like that, like sheep, literally, which was a really funny thing.
Wow.
Although, yeah.
Wow.
So I think about that So by restarting, sometimes I think that may be the way to stop people. Sometimes you just get this vibe where nobody wants to stop. You just got to give up and let the air clear or whatever. I don't know. I haven't if I figured it out. If I figured it out, I don't think I'd be complaining or talk about how hard it is to stop people. But that's been the hardest thing. It's so strange.
What about just asking a question? And this is somebody that's not a busker, but what about asking a question? Something they feel like they have to answer. You know, hey guys, this just came out in the magic world. This is have you seen this? And get into something like that or something crazy.
You know, actually, what I've been thinking about doing is the only thing is another magician is doing sponge balls. But when I used to work the college trade shows, that last day, the kids were so exhausted from entertainment that it would be really hard to stop people for your booth. And that's when I'd bust out the sponge bunnies, and I'd just get the girls walking by. And as soon as they come up, I just ask them, "Oh, have you seen the bunnies yet?" And then they're like, "Oh," and then when it's the sponge bunnies, they're not even disappointed. Maybe I got to bring that out and try that again. Because, yeah, that's kind of hard to resist. And once you get the girls, the guys stop.
Mm-hmm. So,
and the funny thing is,
what about a live bunny? What about a live bunny just sitting in your hat?
Nah, that's too much trouble. I don't want to feed. I don't want the responsibility. Plus, technically out here, you're not allowed to have a live animal in your act.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they don't allow that anyways.
Is that on the pier?
On the pier.
Or just in California or what?
Just on the pier.
Okay. Now, it's Santa Monica Pier, right? Am I right at that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the pier. How long is the pier? How many acts are on it? How
long is a Chinese man?
Okay. I don't know. It is.
I love that.
You're right. I had to think about that.
I don't know. The pier's not super long.
Okay.
It's not like the Jersey Shore or anything. It's not like Asbury Park or Seaside Heights. But it's also like the Santa Monica Pier is perpendicular to the shoreline, right? So it sticks out over the water, not parallel with it. But it's not that long.
Okay.
It's like maybe 2 blocks.
Okay.
Long. And the block extends over the water, I would guess.
How many acts do you think are on the pier at one time?
Well, they have, realistically speak, they have 24 spots, but 10 of those are useless. And if you're on spot 1, they have performers and artists basically. People who do name on rice, or they'll write your name or do a caricature. So you have those kind of craftsmen, artists, and then you also have performers, musicians, break dancers, magicians. And so if you're a performer, the performers tend not to work on the spots next to each other because they're too close to the point where they would interfere. So you've got really 14 spots, and if you got a performer on spot 2, that's going to kill spot 1 and 3. So at the most you could fit, if everybody really cooperated to maximize the amount of performers on the pier, you could get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9.
Wow.
But realistically speaking, you're likely to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
The way it works out.
So Santa Monica Pier is a big tourist area anyway. I mean, you get tourists there.
Yeah. It's
just a tourist trap. I mean, is there other things going on the pier besides entertainment? Do they have gift shops or anything?
Well, yeah, they got gift stores. They got like funnel cakes. They got some, they got a really nice Ferris wheel. They have a very mediocre roller coaster. They have an arcade. They have a couple games, and a couple like kiddie rides.
Okay.
So it's like like a amusement park kind of pier.
So I'm following you on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I don't know, everywhere. I don't know, but I'm seeing your skateboarding videos. I'm loving it. We'll get to that later on. But I saw your fiasco with losing a cup over the side of the pier, and you having to go get that. What happened? How did that happen? Did you lose it for good? I thought you got it.
Oh yeah, no, it's gone. That was very sad. That was the first of January. It was pre-COVID. So I'm guessing 2019, January 1st, 2019. And I had a set of Gazzo's cups that I bought from him that he used. I bought a used set of his. And it was just a windy day, and the wind blew my table over. And just in slow motion, I watched the cup go dink, tink, and off the pier into the ocean. And the water was low tide, so I could see down, and I could see it on the bottom under the water, on the sand. And so fortunately I had somebody there with me, and I told her to keep an eye on it and to keep an eye on my stuff. And, it's winter. It's not warm at that point. And so I run down to the shore, like I take my sports jacket, my shirt, my tie, my pants, my shoes, and I just jump in the water in my, underwear. Fortunately I don't wear a thong. I wear like trunks. But I had to go down in the freezing water around and just try to find, and I just couldn't find it. By the time I got there, it had been swept under wherever. And so I never found it. And so now I have 2 cups for that.
So that was
But,
one of my other questions. Who is your busking heroes? Gazzo's one of them.
oh, of course.
Yeah.
Gazzo, Cellini. I would say, so when I started, I didn't see an actual busking magician. I was 16. I went into a magic store in Canada, and I bought a handful of tricks: Matrix, the Coin Through Dental Dam, Hot Rod, 2-card Monty, 3-card Monty, I think Scotch and Soda. And I showed them to all my friends, and then that was it. And then I'm out in Old Town Alexandria, and I see people doing music and doing other things and passing the hat. And I'm like, I wonder if I could get money doing magic. And so I really figured it out all by myself, having never seen a street performing magician. And then I think it was probably about a year later, that they had the first World Summit of Magic, or whatever it is. They did 3 of them in DC, and then the 4th one was in Vegas, and I think it became the Desert Seminar, right? But it was Rich Block's Collector's Workshop thing. And that first year, it was, let me see, I think Guy Hollingsworth, Leonard Green, David Williamson, Matt King, who was on stage? I'm trying to remember. I mean, over the whole 3 years, it was like the best conventions, I think, that have ever been. You had Tom Mullica, you had, I did a workshop with, oh my goodness, I can't remember names right now. Always under pressure. Harry Anderson was there. Anyways, I remember my first lecture was Leonard Green.
Wow.
And I watched him do that. And it took me like 2 years to learn how to do that stupid move. And I just assumed that all magic was going to be that hard.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's where I really started. But I never got to see street performance live until I'd already been doing it for a while. And I think that was probably with Bobby Maverick and Gazzo. They did a workshop, and I knew Bobby through mutual friends. And so I went and I did that busker boot camp, I think it was called. And that was in Cincinnati? I think so.
So Harry Anderson didn't do busking? He didn't talk busking when you saw him?
No, he was talking. I wish I could remember what he was talking about, but by then he was a movie star at that point, a TV star.
Right.
And yeah, he wasn't talking much about busking. And yeah, I got to talk to him briefly, but nothing memorable. You know what was funny is, man, I'm just having the hardest time recalling names right now.
That's all right. That's not your car getting broken into, is it?
Oh, I hope not.
So how'd you end up in California? Because you're from near us. He's from Alexandria, Arlington area.
Oh, wow.
So I met him at MAES.
Yeah.
But you were in New Jersey performing at that point?
I used to spend my summers at the Jersey Shore.
So how'd you end up in California?
Let me check on that car real quick.
Uh-oh, he's worried about that. We'll keep talking. We can pause this.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at? 35 minutes.
It's not my car.
Oh, good.
It's just more editing for me, but not a problem at all, dude.
Sorry about
that.
No, it's good. It's easy.
Yeah, I would go work at the Jersey Shore, Seaside Heights, because Old Town Alexandria was still only good on the weekends. But in the summer at Jersey, I could work every night. And plus, I grew up going there. My dad had a summer home over in Lavalette. And so kind of gave me an excuse to spend my whole summer there.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what was the temperatures difference in Jersey and California? I mean, night and day. You can only work half a year in Jersey, right?
Yeah. Oh, half a year? No, you could work like 8 weeks.
Oh,
wow.
I mean, you could work. It's not really worth it. It's only really from the 4th of July until the kids go back to school.
So is that why you went to California?
The California thing's a bit longer of a tragic kind of sad story.
Oh.
The best place to go into details on.
Okay.
But it all, yes, for the best. I do love it out here now.
Nice.
Well, I want to talk to you about that too. So with the temperatures out there, you can work all year long.
Yeah.
And really, the wind is your main issue.
Yeah.
Is that a weekly issue, or is that just a random thing?
The wind is kind of seasonal out here. Like you get in probably February. Is that when the Santa Ana winds come through? It's, you get a season where it's pretty windy, but my show is pretty much windproof. I got to take my signs down a little bit. I can't. But yeah, I figured out how to make adjustments for the wind.
Well, that was another question. The signs. So, I mean, are you getting cash anymore? Or is everything Cash App and Venmo and PayPal and all that stuff?
It's still way more mostly cash.
Oh, wow.
You do get Cash App, but it's like maybe 10% of what I make.
That? Yeah.
It's Venmo and Cash App, but the rest of it's all cash.
Nice.
So how bad is California? We're in Virginia. We just keep hearing how bad it is. But you love it out there. So is it bad or is it not bad? I had a comedian on here, and he is in downtown LA, and he said it's not bad. And he took his camera, and he walked around downtown LA, and he's like, look, there's no marauders out here. There's no homeless people anywhere. And he's like next to the castle. He lives like, he was showing too much on video. I'm like, you're telling people where you live, man. We'll have to edit this out.
Well, and that depends on where you are, right? So in downtown LA, I mean, if you're over on Skid Row, it's insane. I was living in Venice for about a year, and, Venice is pretty bad with the homeless situation. It got really bad during COVID. During the lockdowns. I mean, it was like a tent city up and down the beach there. Although they wouldn't let you skateboard. They fill the park with sand.
Right. Well, a publicist sent me a video of them just fighting, and I don't know if it's on YouTube, I think. Just the homeless people just fighting and like trying to kill each other, hitting each other with cinder blocks, and just they're on drugs, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
Venice Beach.
Yeah. Yeah. it's a little better now. For a while, it started to feel like Mad Max. It does seem to be better. You know, the thing with the homeless issue is I feel like I can solve every single problem if I were king of the world, except the homeless issue. I don't know what you do with them. I mean, you're certainly not doing them any favors letting them live on the street, and it's not good for us, especially like, you know, in Venice, those homes are like millions of dollars, and I'm sure your property taxes are astronomical, and you still got homeless people sleeping on your doorstep. I would be pissed. But I also have issues about treating people medically against their will. I mean, a lot of these people are mentally ill and addicted to whatever. And the idea of putting them in a hospital and treating them against their will creates a moral problem for me. But then again, so does letting them stay on the street. So I got no idea what you do with them. But yeah, I also think that, yeah, there's so many problems. And, you know, it becomes like any government program. You know, they assign all these government employees to deal with the homeless problem, but if they actually deal with it, they're out of a job. So now you got a whole industry around dealing with the homeless, which just means the homeless issue is going to be there forever.
Yeah.
You know?
We're bad with geography. How far is Venice from Santa Monica, and where are you? Are you in the middle?
Oh, 15-minute bike ride.
Oh.
You know, I am.
For both?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I can be in Santa Monica. I can walk to the pier in about 20 minutes, and I can bike to the Venice skate park in 20 minutes.
Wow. All right. So what, you didn't start skating during the pandemic. You started like...
No. I've been doing it since I was 8.
Oh, nice.
But when did it start back up? Did it start back up, or you just started videos?
Oh, when did I start skateboarding again?
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah, when did you start skateboarding again?
I never stopped.
Okay.
I definitely slowed. But during the pandemic, I started doing it a lot more because I wasn't allowed to work. But even before that, I was still doing it. And the videos on Instagram really started because at a certain point, I remember going to the park a couple times and it would be closed. At that point, I wasn't living close. So I'd drive all the way out there. I'd go to the park and it would be closed for some kind of video shoot or for cleaning or some other stuff. And I was like, and it would be really annoying. So when I was skating there every day, once I lived close, I just started saying, oh, you know, I'll let people know if it's too wet or if it's closed or whatever, because I just figured I'd save people the trip. And so then I started doing that almost every day. And now it's hard to get back into that habit. I posted today I would post every day, even if there wasn't anything interesting to say. I just post something and try to find something to say. And now, unless I have something, I tend to be less persistent.
When did I start back up? 2019?
No, before that.
2018? It wasn't.
When was what?
It was
when I started back up. 2016?
It was when Lana was like, maybe.
I just went to the store. I was like, you know what? I have a gym in my backyard.
Maybe a little bit.
It'll be a good workout. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun workout.
Yeah.
But
you did it before we moved here.
Yeah, is that what it was?
Yeah, it was before we moved here. You started back up.
But here's the thing. When I was a teenager, or 9, 10, 12, 13, there was no skate parks. Now every town has a skate park. Wow. Also, when I was a little kid, a skateboard, you had to save up 6 months to afford just one skateboard. Now I got disposable income. I can buy a skateboard every week if I want. It doesn't matter. Helmet, I can afford that. I don't have to ask mom and dad. I can do this now.
The prices of skateboards haven't gone up that much since the 80s.
Right.
Which is pretty crazy. Still like 120, 150 for a complete. I don't know how that's the one thing that hasn't been hit by inflation. But yeah, I remember like in high school around DC, it was all street skating. And then my freshman year of college, still street skating. And then some parks started to open up. You had a Vans park, and then you had another park in Bethesda, Maryland. And well, I'd slow down my freshman year of college. where I was mostly just doing it to go to and from class. Then the parks opened, and one of them had a big bowl, and I was like, oh my God, I wanted to skate these things my whole life. And now here's one. And so then I just got way back into it all over again with the parks. But I never stopped completely.
Well,
I definitely was
mine was a complete stop for 15 years. And, I've dropped in a couple times and just ate. And I know I got concussed. I drove home and don't remember. I hurt my wrist so bad. I'm like, I got to work. And she's like, you support the family. We can't do this.
I know. I'm like, you need to wear the pads and the wrist thingies if you when.
I had a wrist guard. I hit so hard I broke
out.
the metal wrist guard. And I'm like, dude,
Well, my
serious.
now is,
Yeah.
yeah, I can relate to that. I've been, I have my thumbs. I've lost this thumb. Like, that's my thumbs up. That's as far up as it'll go.
Oh, wow.
My coin magic is screwed up. And for a while, I couldn't do my top shot because this finger, I broke it or something. It took a full year to heal. But I've adapted, and I didn't do much coin magic anyways. It's a little frustrating losing your hands a little bit. Not having a thumb it can be annoying, but you adapt.
And it's your right thumb.
I've always,
it's your right thumb too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I can't do a muscle pass anymore with this. So, and I used to do the coin star and then balance it off all 5 fingers, and it's gone. I can't do it, which is a bummer. But it never made me money anyways.
Wow. What, dude? Check out his Instagram. What is it? Frank DeVille? Is it just Frank DeVille?
F the
Magician.
F for. Yeah, it's funny though because I so rarely post magic on there.
Right.
It's just become my skateboarding fun thing. So now when people want to follow me on social media, I'm always like, do I even tell them about my Instagram? Because if they know me for magic, there's almost nothing on there for them. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even have a website.
But dude, it's you.
It's
you though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 100%. Yeah. Hey, I'm just telling you. I don't even feel like cleaning up the sand today, but it's sandy and the weather. It's like it's windy. It's sandy. Do what you want to do. I'm going home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do.
Yeah.
100%. I'll watch them all.
Well, that's sort of the there's always a dilemma of what am I doing there, and it's like I'm just gonna do what I want. I don't even care. I mean, about my social media, like it may be a bad habit, but as a street performer, since if this crowd sucks, there's another one right behind it. And I can have such a bad attitude out there sometimes. When I get spectators who just aren't really into being good spectators, then I will tell them to leave. I'm just like, I'm done. I know I do a professor's nightmare. So an interesting street thing I've learned is if you get one no and you take it, you're going to get another no and another no. It sets up a pattern. So, if I tell somebody to if I try to get somebody to pick a card or hold a rope and it's at the beginning of the trick and they say no, if I let it stand that way, the show's done. Because then the next person's going to say no and the next person says no, and then I'm no longer performing, I'm fighting.
Well, that's not only in street performing, though. That's also trying to get a volunteer from the audience. You, sir, can you?
Yeah.
No. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. But on the street, the way I handle it now is so if like I go to Professor's Nightmare and the key thing is handing the ropes out to 3 different people, I do it to lock them in and also to have the ropes examined, but it's really about getting one person from 3 different groups stuck. You're locking them in so they can't really leave. And if that first person says no, then I'm begging. Oh, how about you? How about you? And there's no point. And so now, when I get that, if I get that first no, I will turn my back to them. And I will perform so they can't see. Like, I'm just like, screw you, go home and watch TV, you know?
Wow.
And sometimes it's a language thing where they don't understand, but most of the time they're just cheap. They want to watch, but they don't want to feel like they're part of it. And I'll just tell them to go home and watch TV. I'll be like, don't make eye contact. I think they're feds, you know? And I will turn my back 100% to them and not let them see. I'll be like, are they still there? And then nobody else says no. You kind of got to make an example of it and take charge. And when I did the girlfriend's favorite magician thing, I was doing the show at a bar and doing the whole show. And afterwards, somebody came up and asked me if I was into the PUA community. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And it's a pickup community. They're pickup artists.
Pickup artists, yes. That's
yeah.
the thing on MTV.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. They had the show on VH1, I guess, with Mystery. Neil Strauss's book all came out after that. But at this point, it was like only on message boards, and I had no idea what it was. And the guy talked to me and told me about it. And I was like, huh, that's really interesting. I wonder how those techniques would apply to magic, you know? Because like for picking up a girl, they have a whole like sequence of steps you got to go through. Like first you have to engage them. Then you have to generate attraction. Then you have to show interest on your side, right? Like you wanted the girl to be interested in you before you showed your interest in her. And then you need to build a connection. They call it rapport. And then you go to seduction, right? And so when I wrote my girlfriend's favorite magician show, I was trying to go through all those phases in the show. Like the opener was just to introduce myself and get their attention. The second thing was not to impress them, but to find a reason for me to be impressed by them. And then I would impress them. And then I try to get more sincere, and then the big finale. So, and that's even applied to the street performance stuff, where it's like, one of the things they say that's really unattractive is approval-seeking behavior. You know, like, here's a tip for all the magicians out there who are trying to meet people at bars. Like if you're a guy trying to impress girls with magic, do magic for the guys in the bar. Build that crowd of guys who are like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And then the girls will want to know about you. Like the last thing you want to do is become that trick monkey where they're like, oh, that was cute. Pat you on the head. Nice trick, magic boy. Like that doesn't work as well as getting all the guys to be like, holy shit, have you seen this guy? Then when they're talking you up, then the girls that generates attraction in a way that, is counterintuitive. But so I took all that stuff and tried to apply it to the street show and to my interaction with the audience. And so, I had the attitude of, I'm not going to beg them to watch a show. If they don't want to watch it, I don't want them there. Move on. The show's only as good as a crowd, which is 100% true. I'm sure you've had that where it's like you got a couple people in your audience who don't want to be there. And the whole show just sucks because they're just, killing the vibe.
I performed for a group of engineers for a friend. It was his party, and he said, can you do some stuff? They were just trying to figure it out the whole time. They weren't having fun. They were just trying to. It's like you guys are doing it all wrong. It'd be like somebody grabbing every prop out of your hand, but they weren't grabby. They were just talking over me the entire time. And it's like, but dude, this sucks. It's not fun at all. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'll have people on the street and they'll be like, oh, I bet I can figure it out. They'll walk up and go, show me a trick. I bet I can figure it out. I'm like, oh, if you're going to figure it out, what's the point? And I'll just turn my back to them and go sit down. I don't fucking need them. Like, go home and watch TV. I'm like, really? Just like, that's but it's a luxury of being a street performer, right? Like, even table hopping at a restaurant, you can't be rude to the customers. When you're booked for a gig, you can't tell people to go home and watch. But on the street, I will. I have no trouble getting rid of a bad crowd. because I know I can find another one in another minute, which is, maybe I'm spoiled. It's kind of giving me a bad attitude sometimes.
Well,
But
going back to the pickup artist and the thing, I just want to tell you a cool story. One of my favorite bar memories. I was never a bar guy. I never, even on our first date, we just drove around and ended up at a Waffle House because we didn't drink. We don't know what to do. There was nothing.
I've never had a drink.
There you go. So I'm working a haunted hayride in Virginia Beach, and I am
Okay.
I'm creating black art illusions and things like that.
Younger.
I was 18 years old.
Yeah.
And they had Gunnar Hansen, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, signing autographs.
Cool.
And they had Kane Hodder, who played Jason Voorhees in 7 of the 10 Friday the 13th movies. Jason's on the dance floor trying to pick up girls and dancing with all the girls. And Gunnar Hansen is an older guy, Leatherface. He's sitting at the bar with me. We're just in a big circle booth. And I'm showing him magic because I have no interest in going to pick up girls. I don't know. All of a sudden, we had 15 girls surrounding us, and I was just showing him magic. And he looked over at me and said, dude, I'm in the wrong business. I like you, man. And it was just one of those things. I had a pat on the back from this, in my mind, celebrity dude. And it was like, heck yeah, I got something here. This is awesome. They just came to us.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. I was showing him magic. He reacted, and they all swarmed. But I never got into that. I never did bar magic to try to pick up girls, That was just my one cool story.
Well, I had a period of time where I was.
Yeah. Well, so going back to all this,
He did some magic to try and impress me when we first knew each other. So
but I didn't go to a bar.
Magic, but he.
Well, tell him the toothpick.
He used magic to try and attract and make me like him.
Go ahead, tell him the story.
I mean, he might have been. Well, that's not a magic trick, but you did do magic tricks.
Right.
But yeah.
She was a waitress at a restaurant that I was working at.
Yeah.
And we were talking and we were hanging out. We were dating, I guess.
No, not yet.
Not yet. But
I felt bad for you.
It was tell him the story. Tell him.
Okay. So he would do the
Well, what I really is take each of you in separate rooms and have each of you tell the story so we can compare notes.
Right.
No, she's better at it.
He used to do like the nail up your nose thing for that farm that he worked and doing the scary stuff. So he was trying to show me with a toothpick, and he took a toothpick off a plate and nailed it up his nose. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And his eyes just started watering because he got a used toothpick that had fry seasoning all over it.
Dude, it wouldn't
up
stop.
His nose, and I felt so bad for him. He just started crying. It was
There's got to be something in the pickup artist book about pity, though, right? There's got to be a chapter about pity.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that's... What I want to know is what happened afterwards that saved things.
Oh,
pity. I think it was pity.
Yeah, there was a little bit of pity there, but we had been talking back and forth, and I was kind of already liking him at that point anyway. He was a nice guy. So it wasn't like it was the first night meeting him and he did that and I just like, oh my gosh. It was, we already had a rapport going.
And I made fun of myself over it.
Yeah.
It was stupid. It was silly. It was fun. I'm watching your promo video and I see you do a straitjacket with a plastic bag over your head. I've never seen anyone ever do this. And it was only in your promo video. It wasn't the full thing of you doing it. So explain to me what was going on in that video. Because it looked like they covered you a blanket. Was there tape involved to keep it there? Tell me all about it.
So the whole theory on that was, I heard that when Houdini did the straitjacket, he would do it behind a curtain. Because I always thought with the straitjacket, it either had to be funny or scary. So it either had to be funny or there had to be something on the line. Because I also feel like that once your arms are free, everything after that is anticlimactic. So my thought was, for a portable way of introducing danger is 2 plastic bags on your head with a rubber band around your neck, right? And you got to get out of the straitjacket before you die.
That's scary.
And then I liked conceptually the idea of doing it under a sheet. Because I feel like, this image of the struggle under a sheet is far more interesting than watching some guy get out of a straitjacket, right? Because again, once those arms are free, But under a sheet, your imagination is trying to figure out what's going on, especially when you get to see the struggle. So that was my straitjacket routine that I played with for a bit. The problem was it didn't make money. I think it was too scary. Like, it was just too intense. It didn't lend to a hat line afterwards. And maybe if I stuck with it longer, I would have figured the rest of that out. Because I do feel like on the street, a big straitjacket show is where you can really make a lot. And right now my shows are getting smaller and smaller and shorter. I'm trying to do as many shows an hour. But yeah, that's all there was to it. It was nice because I'd have 2 people managing the sheet. I'd have 2 people managing the bags, and then I'd have another guy strapping me in. There were some funny jokes where I would say, and to the people, I'd say to one guy, look, if I'm in trouble and I need help, I have a signal. And this is the signal. I'm going to lie on the ground without moving. Right? And if you do that, take the bags off my head. And I would say, if I'm on the ground and I'm not moving, you guys remove the sheet, you take the bag off the head. And of course it was completely safe. I had some things to make sure I wasn't in danger. And if you get out of a straight, you can get out in a minute pretty easily. So a minute is plenty of time. So I was never really in that much danger. But theatrically,
Right.
It was incredible.
I saw you on your promo. You were doing it on stage, so I can't even imagine doing it over and over and over, busking. So is your set right now? Ups and Balls, Professor's Nightmare, Multiple Selection show over?
Yeah.
Wow.
I used Orange, but at a certain point, there were 2 other magicians on the pier doing Bill and Orange.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I want to be the 3rd guy doing it. And when I cut the Bill and Orange, I get 4 shows an hour instead of 2. And it's also felt like once I have my first 2 rows, I'm not making money from anything after that. So why waste time entertaining them? I'd rather get rid of it and reset, do another show. Because I think there's a certain point where you've got everything you're going to get money-wise. And also, you get the whole thing of leaving them wanting more. So, like, half-hour show is a long time to stand there watching somebody. But 15 minutes, it's sort of like, oh, already? So, yeah, I just cut it out to get in more shows, and makes my life a lot simpler. I don't have to keep going out and buying oranges.
Right, yeah.
So
show up now. So you don't have a Facebook. I mean, you don't have a website. Are you on Facebook? Are you on anything other than Instagram at F the Magician?
Yeah, just Instagram. I mean, I have a Facebook page, but I'm never on there.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram. I got F the Magician. That's F for Frank, which is also funny because when I set up Twitter, I wanted to put Frank the Magician, and it was too long. And Frank DeVille was already taken, and I didn't want to be Frank DeVille 01 or whatever, or 02. So it's like F the Magician. That's like Frank the... And then I'm like, oh my God, F the Magician is so funny. And so then I started using that because I can say that's F for Frank.
Did they let you do it on Twitter?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
I think I Magician on Twitter and Instagram.
So how can somebody's going out on vacation, they're going to go to Santa Monica Pier, I'm going to send them to go see you. How do we know what days you're working? Just pretty much every day?
Yeah, I wish I could answer that. Every day I go to the Lotto at 11:30, and I never know if I'm going to be performing that day until about 11:45. So they assign the performance spots by Lotto. So it's a bummer. I know sometimes people really want to see me, and they'll message me, DM me on Instagram, and I'll say, hey, I can let you know once I know. But that's the best I can do, because I do try to go out every day. I never don't try to go out because you kind of have to.
So is it
but
with all your luggage to the Lotto? Like you're dressed and ready?
Well, yeah, I tend to go there dressed and ready to go. But, it all fits in my car. It's like one bag, my table, and my amp.
Right.
It's not, I carry playing cards, Cups and Balls, and Professor's Nightmare. So it packs pretty small.
What hours are you there usually?
Normally, if I'm working, I'm normally up and going by 1 until 4 is the safest time. Normally till 5, and normally I start a little bit before 1. But if I'm working that day, I'm there between 1 and 4 for sure.
Awesome. Everybody go see Frank. Frank, we got to have you back on because we had a 45-minute phone call yesterday, and I haven't even told Natalie about it. Natalie hasn't been feeling well, but you're awesome. Dude, you're my buddy. Thank you for being on. Thank you for everything. Because I know we have a...
You'll have to let me know when you're out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You're the best. Only thing we have left to say is...
Yeah, I'll take it.
See you next week.
Check us out online at wesiseli.com and patreon.com/Wes_Iseli for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled Wesiseli.